The night owns everything. Wind drags its claws along the battlements. Snow sighs against shutters that never shut. And somewhere deep inside the keep, a single flame fights the dark. The castle doesn't sleep. It breathes through cracks, each one a whisper of frost. Walls moan as the cold settles in. Even silence has weight here. A brazier spits in defiance. Sparks rise like stars that never escape. Smoke curls, hesitant, beneath the beams. The air tastes of iron and fatigue. Curtains hang thick, unmoving. Yet the draft finds its path, under, between, always. The flame bends to it, light trembling like breath before death. Stone keeps the cold as memory. Every wall has learned how to hold it, how to give nothing back. Somewhere beyond the chamber, the courtyard freezes in silence. Footsteps fade, chains settle. Even the dogs sleep with their eyes half open. And still, the wind hunts. It tests every door, every seam. The keep groans but endures. Because this is what castles were built for, to outlast the living. Morning will come, but warmth will not. The castle wakes before the Sunday. Cold first, then sound. Wood creaks, iron shifts. Every hinge remembers the night. Servants move through the dark. Their breath turns white in the corridors. A bucket tips. Water freezes where it falls. This is morning medieval style. The rooster doesn't crow, it screams. Our door slams. Someone curses God in Latin. And above it all, stone keeps its silence. Inside the Lord's chamber, warmth pretends to exist. A brazier spits sparks, smoke clawing the rafters. Flames lick iron, but the heat dies before the bed. The bed itself, straw stuffed in linen. They called it a tick. Dry, sharp, unforgiving. Backs learn its seams like maps of pain. Please live here. They wake before their masters. Doctors even wrote of straw-borne wounds. Imagine your mattress as an enemy. The rich fare little better. Their straw sits in wooden frames, luxury defined by height. The same cold, just better wood. Clothing doubles as armor. Linen first, wool next. Fur around the neck, sleeves, wrists. And always a cap. Because heat escapes the scalp faster than pride. The windows, slits, arrow width. Made to kill light, not let it in. They breathe frost, not air. Frost crawls along the ledge. The shutter closes. The wind stays anyway. Wood groans, nails complain. The room sighs like a beast waking under its own weight. On the floor, rushes and herbs. Lavender, meadowsweet. Fragrance versus filth. By midnight, the smell loses the war. A dog curls near the coals. A chicken finds a beam and sleeps above. Everyone in this castle fights the same battle. To stay alive between breaths. Listen. Charnlift. Doors shift. Leather soles cross the hall. A torch drips orange across the tapestries. The walls drink the smoke and give back damp. Cold stone sweats when breath touches it. Mildew fans out behind hangings. Every touch leaves salt. No one speaks of it. Everyone feels it. The castle doesn't wake. It endures. Because in a place built to survive war, the real enemy is winter. The air inside a castle never rests. It creeps. It whispers through cracks in mortar and oak. You don't see it. You feel it crawling along your neck like thought. Every wall breathes. Cold in, warm out. The trade never ends. Stone keeps nothing for long. Smoke hangs low, refusing the chimney. It rolls beneath the rafters, thick, silent grey. The air tastes like ash and sleep. In the corner, a brazier spits at its own failure. Fire burns, but warmth doesn't travel. It dies halfway to your hands. A servant moves through the haze.
Did you hear that?
Her torch paints orange scars across the stone. Every footstep echoes like a memory being made. She passes through a curtain. Linen, stiff with smoke and frost. The draft tugs it sideways, as if the castle itself were breathing in. Somewhere below, water hums in the well. It's colder than the night air. Buckets knock against the shaft, and that sound climbs the stairwell like a heartbeat. A watchman drags his torch along the hall. His iron chain clicks like distant rain. Every spark he leaves behind dies before it hits the floor. He pauses listening. Not for enemies, for silence. Because silence here is alive. The walls sweat. Cold breath meets warm skin. Moisture crawls downward like time itself. Mildew blooms behind the hangings, grey, slow, inevitable. Touch the fabric, and it answers. Wet, sour, human. It smells like the ghost of breath. This isn't comfort. It's survival pretending to be peace. By night's middle, every wall seems to inhale and hold. Waiting, listening. Then slowly, it exhales. The castle sighs, and the sound is indistinguishable from prayer. Before dawn, sound comes first. The rattle of buckets, the scrape of boots. Leather, iron, and breath colliding in the dark. No birds, yet only people. Servants rise like ghosts from straw. Half dreaming, half freezing. Boy stirs embers with a poker, the glow painting his face with yesterday's fire. He turns the spit, though nothing cooks. Habit keeps the motion alive. Muscle remembers what the stomach still waits for. In the corridor, the lady's steward whispers orders. Fetch wood, boil water. The first light hasn't breached the arrow slits, but the castle already moves like a machine. Steps on stone, slow, layered, endless. Each echo blends into the next, a rhythm older than its people. Through the kitchens, smoke thick as wool. Steam rises from buckets of water gone grey. The smell of tallow, ash, and boiled air. A maid cracks the ice in a basin. She winces but doesn't stop. Water colder than mercy. It will clean what it can reach. Someone drops a log. The sound travels like thunder. A door slams, wind roars through it, and the castle inhales again. Upstairs, shutters thrown open. Pale light spills through, not warm, just proof that the world still exists. Dust dances in the beam. Threads of gold inside breathless air. The day begins not with warmth, but with movement. Because in a castle, survival is mechanical. Every hand, every sound, every breath, part of the same weary engine. The Lord will wake soon. The bells will call. And the cold will simply shift shape and start again. The castle never truly rests. Even leisure here feels like duty. Laughter echoes off the same stone that once carried screams. Outside, the courtyard comes alive. Knights stretch, squires stumble, steel sings. Morning drills begin beneath a sky, the color of pewter. Blood is smee. Sparks scatter on frozen mud. Each clang folds into rhythm. Practice, not war, but close enough. A hawk cries from the tower. Below, a jester tumbles through wet straw, his bells dull with rust. He laughs for the bored, bleeding slightly from his own joke. The lady watches from a high window, her hands clasped, her face unreadable. Below her, men risk bones for favor. Power moves quietly here, never shouted, always measured. Dice roll in the shadows of the hall. Coins clink, debts are born. A servant loses a week's pay to a knight who smiles like sin. Laughter again too loud this time. Someone spills ale, someone draws steel. A fight starts small, ends smaller. By midday, the jousting yard stirs. Armor gleams, banners shiver. Horse snort steam-like engines. The horn sounds. Two lances collide. Splinters fly. One knight falls. Applause reaches, not for mercy, but for spectacle. Because here, pain is performance. Blood earns cheers. Power feeds on attention. By dusk, the hall fills again. The same hands that swung swords now lift goblets. Music drowns the bruises. And as laughter fades into wine-stained air, the torches lean low, whispering their truth. Every game in this castle ends the same way. Someone kneels. Someone bleeds. And everyone watches. Dark falls fast here. No twilight, no mercy. Just the sound of doors sealing, bolts sliding into place. The torches flare one last time, then thin into trembling candles. Light becomes private, something rationed, not shared. The castle exhales, long and tired. Stone cools, wood tightens. And what's left awake is thought. A guard walks the gallery. Each step echoes like a heartbeat, inside a sleeping beast. In the chapel below, a priest whispers to no one. Wax drips down his fingers. The flame answers nothing. Rooms shrink around their fires. A mother tells her child a story about saints who outwitted hunger. The child falls asleep mid-prayer. In another hall, a scholar bends to a candle, ink freezing before it dries. His quill scratches words, meant for no one who will ever read them. Somewhere deeper, chains move, not in anger, in memory. A prisoner shifts in the dark, counting heartbeats instead of days. Above him, the rafters hum. Wind slips through unseen mouths in the roof. It sounds like whispering names. Every sound carries double meaning here. A door creak might be a dream, or a warning. By midnight, the fire burns low. The walls glow red, as if the castle itself were remembering warmth. Outside, fog drifts from the moat, curling around the parapets. A watchman calls the hour flat, hollow. His voice vanishes before it reaches the next tower. The night presses closer, not hostile, just endless. And within it, the mind stirs, turning over fears too old to name. The castle doesn't sleep. It dreams. And everyone inside dreams with it. At dawn, the cold smells different. Iron, smoke, sweat. The scent of order being enforced. The courtyard waits. Empty, expectant. The air itself feels like judgment. Footsteps, chains. A man is brought out, eyes hollow, wrists raw. The crowd gathers without being told. No one speaks. No one needs to. They already know the script. The Lord appears at the balcony. His cloak moves before he does. Below, the prisoner trembles not from guilt, but from the wind slicing through his bones. The herald reads the charge. Words sharp as frost, rehearsed too often to mean anything. The gallows creaks. A raven shifts on the beam, impatient, professional. Justice here isn't swift. It's displayed. A reminder carved into the morning. The rope tightens. A hush. Then the sound of wood complaining under weight. Some turn away. Most don't. Because punishment is theater, and everyone in this castle knows their seat. By midday, the gallows stands empty again. Only the rope moves swaying gently, like it hasn't finished thinking. The executioner eats alone, his hands still black from the knot. He drinks beer thick as mud. No one thanks him. At night, he'll hear the same wind that carried the last breath away. And the castle will sigh once more, satisfied, silent, unchanged. When the Lord rides to war, the castle changes hands. Not to a knight, not to a priest. To her. The lady rules without armor. Her weapon is order. her silence sharper than steel. At dawn, she walks the gallery alone. Torches hiss as she passes. Every servant lowers their gaze, not from fear but calibration. Her hands smell of ink and iron keys. She counts grain, logs, and wages, like a general counts soldiers. In the hall, she signs ledgers by candlelight. Margins filled with warnings. Do not pay the archers when drunk. Her world runs on numbers and noise. The clang of pots, the clatter of hooves. Every sound a message, every silence a risk. When disputes rise, she ends them with one look. Two servants fighting over a spilled stew go pale under her stillness. But she is not just a keeper of peace. She is strategist, healer, teacher. A woman managing a fortress that breathes like a living thing. In her garden, she grows medicine and warning both. White flowers for healing, purple for removal. Her letters to her absent husband read like reports. No poetry, no plea. Just weather, stock, and discipline. Yet, when the castle is besieged, and men whisper of surrender, it is she who climbs the battlements. Her voice cuts through the wind. Orders, not prayers. She commands the gates sealed and the torches lit high. From below, the enemy sees her silhouette, a banner of defiance carved in firelight. They say she smiled once, cold, precise. The siege breaks days later. She doesn't celebrate. She returns to her desk. The ink still wet. Because power, to her, was never conquest. It was control. Pain was not a stranger here. It lived beside the fire. It spoke through fevered breath and whispered prayers. A man coughs into his hand, red blooms in his palm. A servant looks away, mutters a psalm. The castle doctor arrives robe-stained, eyes hollow. He carries faith in one hand, a leech in the other. Too much blood, he says. A cure, less man. A bowl fills, a life thins. Headaches mean emerald dust. Fevers need vinegar and hope. And for those who can't afford either, a prayer and a burial. He mixes powders in the candle's flicker. Crushed bones, dried herbs, and something he calls dragon's blood. The patient drinks. The priest crosses himself. And the room smells of honey, wine, and fear. In a chest nearby, treasures of the trade. A tooth puller's pliers. A rusted needle. A vial labeled unicorn horn. Outside, a child screams through a pulled tooth. Inside, another man drinks opium milk to sleep forever. The doctor writes notes no one will read. Patient expired. Prognosis improved. And yet, somehow, through filth and faith, people survive. A poultice of mold fights an infection. Honey seals a wound. Accident becomes medicine. By torchlight, the lady tends the sick herself. Her sleeves rolled, her voice steady. One hand blesses, the other measures. This is not healing. It's endurance. A quiet war against the body's surrender. At night, the doctor prays to his tools. Not for success, for mercy. Castle holds its breath again. Night presses close. Every corridor glows faintly, as if memory itself burned like coal. The torches hum in rhythm. Flame, smoke, whisper. Each room exhales its day. In the kitchen, the last pot cools. A cook scrapes the bottom for warmth, finds none, and laughs without sound. Upstairs, the Lord sleeps in a canopy of curtains. 2 heated stones fade beneath his sheets. Even power cannot outlast the cold. The servant tends the dying embers. He breathes on them gently, as though coaxing life itself to stay. Across the hall, a tapestry trembles. Mildew has replaced saints. The smell is damp, old, honest. From the parapet, fog climbs again. It wraps around stone, seeps through arrow slits, and settles like a second skin. A watchman leans on his spear. The flame in his torch bends sideways, its light stretched thin by wind. He calls the hour. No one answers. The sound falls back against the walls, a voice speaking only to its maker. Below, the well hums through the dark. Ropes creak, water shifts. Every drop colder than silence. The castle does not sleep. It waits. Its stones remember everything: heat, prayer, laughter, death. And if you listen long enough, beneath the wind, beneath the years, you can still hear it breathe. Because stone, like memory, never truly dies.